He'll share a little bit about his life and his career as well, how he changed from being this kid on the street to living a life of productivity and passion and love to really change the people around Baltimore and people all throughout the world. And he's won some amazing awards like Dr. Martin Luther King Award and recently the Muhammad Ali Award. He's traveled all over the world to help really motivate people to do amazing things. And he has a book out called Temporarily Insane and some other really cool things as well, DVDs and a brochure titled What to Do When Stopped by the Police. And after this, if you guys are wanting to reach out for him, I'm acting as a publicist for Dr. Ted Sutton as well. So if you have a program or something that you'd like him to speak or talk out or collaborate with, you can reach out to me and we'll get you in touch with him. Dr. Ted, you are on.
Wow, you did such amazing introduction. I wasn't sure if you was talking about somebody else, and but no, it's really an honor to hear all of the amazing things that people online, are doing on today. And today is really a very special day, I guess, for me. In saying that, my parents were both civil rights leaders. My father was an organizer for Dr. King. My mother worked for Medgar Evers the same summer he was assassinated. And then also, my grandfather was actually with a group that was called the Ministers for Defense. And I don't know if anybody knew a lot of history that was started in Louisiana, but that was a group of actually no, deacons for defense. And those were actually deacons who stood up against the Klan as they were firebombing churches and different things of that nature, because people of color and people of other races were actually having service together. And so he fought for that. So with that being said, they moved to Philadelphia, leaving the South, and then moved to Baltimore. My father pastored two churches and also was a community leader. My mother was a principal of a school after working in the school system for a number of years. And actually their middle child ended up hooking up with one of the roughest groups in the city. I realized at a young age that adults could not protect me. And when I say that, adults couldn't protect me, meaning my good parents went to church and went to work, but on their way to work, they could not protect me on the way home, and they could not protect me on my way to school, my way home from school, or even in school. And so I ended up hooking up with a group of young men that they were connected with the people that they wrote the series called The Wire. And then later, a man that ended up kind of taking me under his wing was my godfather, a man named Little Melvin Williams, who was the person that they made American Gangster for Baltimore, and also was the person that they wrote the Wire around him. So that was pretty much just how that was. Ended up having a life that I had to kind of leave home, and things kind of just changed from that point on. And so I owned my first car at 15, my first house at 19, and pretty much I thought I had all of the cards in my hand. And then I ended up having a year where I pretty much lost almost everything except for my mind. And that was where I had my godfather had already received 35 years. My best friend was gunned down in front of me. I had to hold his brains in while the paramedics came. Two of my guys in my crew both received life plus 20 at the age of 19. They found one of my good friends stabbed up in his own car and on Valentine's Day. And my girlfriend ended up getting diagnosed with cancer, and she passed away during that time. And also one of my guys, he was gunned down across the street from Mondawmin Mall. He was paralyzed from the neck down. And then I had one of my lieutenants, one of my guys that was very close to me. He got caught with a carload of guns, and to send him to get himself out of that situation, he sent the ATF to my house, and my house was raided. And so I ended up looking at time for something I didn't do when I had got away with some of the other things. And that was the tale of two cities, the best of times, that was the worst of times. because what ended up happening was I ended up actually being in a situation where, you know, I had everything around me and I wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't. I ended up, you know, was looking at time. They said there was no way I was going home. I had some of the best lawyers before in the past, and but this time they said there's no way you're going home. And I ended up actually, one person came to court for me, and I didn't tell my parents. And the only person that came to court for me, well, the person that only people I knew in the courtroom was the person who was testifying against me, and he was working that day. And then also I had one friend that came to court, and he looked at me and then looked at the floor, and then he went to the back of the courtroom. So I realized that he didn't even want anybody to know that he knew Crazy Ted. And from that moment, from looking at him and looking at the only other person testifying against me, I realized that, and something that I tell my youth now is the worst thing that could ever happen to you is for you to fall in love with something that doesn't love you back. And that whole situation changed everything for me. And so with that pretty much being the situation, I ended up actually going in the bathroom in the Mitchell Courthouse building, second floor, fourth bathroom stall. And I actually asked for God to give me a second chance for a person who didn't feel like he deserved it. And I went back into the courtroom and I ended up receiving a miracle. You know, after I had been arrested before in the past, no convictions, but I had been arrested for racketeering, loan sharking, handgun, assault with a handgun, and strong arming. And my lawyer said, "There's no way you're going home." They offered me deals. I turned down all deals, and I ended up receiving a miracle. I feel that God must have talked to the judge, and so actually when he dismissed my charges, they had to put me out of the courtroom because I really sat there. I continued to sit there in the same seat. And because I said, when you get your time, don't cry. Because you didn't cry when you were in the street, don't cry now. And so with that situation, they ended up actually, everything turned around. They ended up actually, he said, "Mr. Sutton, I said you can go." He dismissed all charges on me because really I had not done what they were saying that I did this time. And he said, "But I hope I never see you like this again." And I said, "Your Honor, you will never see me like this again." And I went out and got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, my doctorate degree. I started transitional housing for gang members to get out of gangs. I started an independent living program for young men aging out of foster care. I started a recording studio helping youth to do positive music. I wrote the book Temporarily Insane, another one, From Pain to Power. I became a consultant for the show Law and Order Special Victims Unit. I started going around the country helping young men to change their lives around, and young ladies. Bloods in California, Crips in Little Rock, Arkansas, Vice Lords, Gangster Disciples in Chicago, Junior Black Mafia, Philadelphia, Ninth Ward Boys in New Orleans, the 515 Boys in London, the Johnsons, the Burgers in the UK, the Americans in South Africa, the East Side Boys in Zimbabwe, you know, the Rasta Boys in Jamaica. And then I ended up actually receiving the Martin Luther King Award, and then I started going around, you know, the country and speaking at Congress, speaking at Parliament, and also speaking at the White House. And then I had a situation where I actually ran in a burning building, and I saved a family, and I saved actually a little girl that was on fire, and pulled her out of the fire. And I caught a baby from the third floor, gave him mouth to mouth, and this has just been a miraculous journey. So I feel that you know, this was really something. So now they're making a movie about my life called All of a Sudden, like my last name Sutton. And so to be a person who the Rolling Stone magazine had asked me, when did you stop being Crazy Ted? And I said, I never stopped being Crazy Ted. God just changed my foundational belief system, so now I know it's worth dying for. And the other piece was, he said, "Well, what was the most significant place that you ever spoke?" And I said, it would have to be when I was the keynote speaker at my high school, where my principal had placed a bet I wouldn't make it to 21, and my counselor who said I shouldn't attempt to go to college, and I ended up being the keynote speaker at that same school. And they sat a man next to me, and his name was Congressman Elijah Cummings. And he looked at me and he looked at the program. He said, "Man, you have to tell me what you have been doing since we saw each other last." And I said, "Yes." And I said, "Because the last time we were sitting next to each other, this wasn't the situation, because he was actually my lawyer for assault and possession with a handgun. But now I was being the keynote speaker with a message of, you're not trash, you're just tarnished."
Wow, that's an amazing story. Let's give him a hand on that. How do you even follow that? I can't imagine what you could share beyond touching the face of God and Him touching you. I mean, where do you go from there? And it's just amazing what you've done. What else do you have to tell us, Dr. Sutton?
Well, I mean, I ended up actually being the founder of People Can Change Ministries. So I'm also started the People Can Change youth movement that we're doing a tour. We just had to kind of adjust things because of the COVID right now. But we were going to Atlanta, Detroit, Philly, and Pittsburgh. And also I the founder of Men Against Murder, which I started here in Baltimore, but I have a chapter in Philadelphia, and also recently started a chapter that was in Atlanta. And so with those things being said, I normally go after some of the youth that people have given up on. I try to actually focus on the ones that people have counted out and don't want to deal with. That's the population that I try to deal with, as far as with that. In fact, here in Baltimore, excuse me, I dealt with the school system, and I went to some of the most challenging schools in Baltimore. And I asked for the high risk list. And that's the list that the principal, has the list of people who are off the hook and off the chain. And what I did is I turned that into the high expectation list. So I called it high expectations. So I was working with the young men, the young ladies who were supposed to be the worst, the ones the teachers didn't want. I ended up started working with them, and I got buy-in from the school, and it helped change the climate of the school and the activity actually in the school. And so pretty much that's just the situation. So being the middle child, not feeling that I was the special one or the chosen one, and I had parents that were very good parents, but they were constantly saving the world. They were constantly saving everybody else, and their middle child ended up getting caught up, in a situation. So, with all of that, being said, that it was really, something to be able to change and to be able to make a difference, as far as with that. So all of the other stuff is just kind of extra, doing the things with books and DVDs and all of these different things, but to be able to just get a message out of hope and a message of change. So even a day like today, this is a very unique day, because I feel that this moment in time right now, people have not needed a level of hope the way that people need hope right now. And people have to know that there is life beyond mistakes. And so, I feel that I'm a testament of that. I'm a walking testimony that people can change. And I think that this is the message that we have to get out as much as possible, and letting people know that it's not how you start, it's how you finish. In fact, one of the slogans that I actually live by, that I've been teaching my youth, is that your success starts where your comfort zone ends. And if we all could just come somewhat out of our comfort zone, what we're used to, and show people that, I can actually show you love beyond your mistakes. I think that we can really make a difference. Something that was so significant. If you ever look this girl up, her name was Jackie Miller. This is the girl that I saved in the fire. The thing is that when this really happened, I had just changed my life. When I ran into this burning building and saved this girl in the fire, she was actually on fire. And I put it, and when I got her into the ambulance, I'll never forget that she ended up reaching out to me. She found me just a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago, and she found me and she said, you know, are you the man that saved my life? And I said, man, I didn't know what happened to you. Tell me what happened. And she said that I was in a burn unit for 18 months. And she said my face was burned, my hair was burned. They had to amputate both of my hands. And she said, but I'm calling you today to let you know that my little brother that you gave mouth to mouth to because he had stopped breathing, she said he just graduated from Maryville High School. And she said, and I'm calling to tell you that I'm graduating from Towson State University with a degree in journalism. And I said, but I thought you said you don't have any hands. And she said, I don't. And she said, and I'm calling to thank, and I stopped her. I said, nah, boo, I can't let you thank me. And she said, well, why not? And I said, because I have to thank you. And she said, well, what would you be thanking me for? And I said, because that day you proved to me that one man with God could make a difference. And then when she got her degree, she didn't know that Towson had reached out to me. And when they got to her name, they told our story and they called me from behind the curtain and they had me to share that phone call and also call her name. And as Jacqueline Tiffany Miller, you know, as the person who, you know, she wanted to, that was receiving her degree. And I just thought it was amazing.
Wow. You know, once again, it's incredibly breathtaking. It really does. It takes your breath away. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a hard time kind of holding it together. That's just
That's an amazing story.
wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So what is it, you know, in such a sort of heated left-right political climate, and maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but as someone who's been there and done that and has lived a life like you, what can you share with us here as a group of human beings who are all trying to do their best in the world? I don't know. It's hard for me to even get the words out. It's amazing.
Well, one thing I would say that to me, this is so amazing to have this group of people that have so many. I consider you specialists in every different area, and you're able to come together. And so what I'm saying is that when people can come together for something good and we can network about change, we can overpower the hate that's going on out here. And I really, you know, feel that because I tell people I'm not anti-police, I'm not anti-white, I'm anti-wrong. I'm against, you know, the negativity that's out there. And so for me to be able to come back from the, you know, I'm officially the comeback kid as far as this situation. I mean, I had a principal that placed a bet that I could not make it to 21. And what was so unfortunate about that situation is when I heard that statement is I actually said, well, you know what? Now I'm gonna prove him wrong. I'm gonna at least make it to 25. I had put a salary cap on what my own ability would possibly be, and this is with having great parents. I mean, I had parents. I had parents that my father has a degree in biochemistry, a doctorate, a master's in social work, a doctorate in theology. My mother has a master's in education. She, you know, did 35 years in the school system, and I was their middle child that ended up getting hooked up with a group that they didn't have the support that I had. And so with that being said, if we could actually get with some and we could really make a difference and be able to change, we could change, you know what I'm saying? I realized that in the right place at the right time with the right words, you could change the trajectory of what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that somebody called me and said that I'm alive now because you stopped being a watcher. So I'm not the one that if something is going down, I'm not going to be the one that's probably on the video camera videotaping everything. I'm going to be the person being video because I believe that, you know, God has almost made me a superhero. I have no fear of the streets, you know, and my assignment is not going to be up until God say my assignment is. So, you know, for this group to come together, they may not even know the power that you have to be able to change lives, to just speak a level of hope. And so, because people either do one of two things, they either speak life into you or death into you. And this group has actually different places in the country, different places, you know what I'm saying, as far as jobs, different places as far as different things. I mean, so it's like you have your tentacles, all over the place. And I mean, and this is the type of things that we need to be able to get the message out. Because if 20 people were on this right here and right now, we could have 20 people that could turn that into 1,000, and then we could turn that into 10,000. And I think that if with that type of message on King Day for right now, I think it's all about change and showing people that God can turn a mess into a miracle. And I think that this is what this message should be.
Wow. God does not make mistakes.
Mm-mm.
And I think that probably everybody on this call today should look in the mirror and say, I'm on this call for a reason today.
That's right. That's right. No accidents.
It's no accidents. That's incredible. All right. Well, we only have 4 minutes till 1, and I would be remiss if I didn't at least throw out an opportunity for somebody. If you've got something on your heart that you want to share or ask Dr. Sutton a question, please raise your hand. Let me recognize you. I know it's hard to follow that up. Go ahead, Dan. Dan Cohen. You're on mute.
Sorry, I had to
Dan.
unmute. Hi, I just binge watched The Wire about a month ago, and
Okay.
so it's all very fresh in my mind. And I also do a lot of work in Baltimore, and so I drive all over the city, and I'll drive from nicer neighborhoods to not such nice neighborhoods. And it seems like Baltimore in particular is as dysfunctional now as a city as it was 20 years ago when The Wire was done. Now, I may be wrong. I do follow the news there a little bit through BAL, which I listen to regularly, as well as the Baltimore Sun. My question to you is, do you have any thoughts on why Baltimore can't improve after 20 years? Whether the government's still corrupt, the police have lots of issues, there's drugs everywhere not everywhere, but there's certainly a lot of drug problems there still. So I just wanted any comments on that.
Well, I will say it. I'm glad you asked that question, because one of my thoughts is that I think we had gone in the past in a different direction. And because out of me going on to England and South Africa and all of these places I've worked with youth, I've gotten the same response when I say, what could change you from walking away from the gang life? What can I do? And they told me always two separate things. And one was, if I had a means to provide for my children, and if I didn't have to live in an environment where I had to actually carry a weapon to defend myself, if I lived in a safe environment, Boise, Idaho, on a farm, able to provide for my family, I could walk away from the gang life. And I think that what I've been telling some of the politicians, we have to get away from feeling that we can lock our way up out of this situation. We cannot lock our way up out of this situation. It has to be wraparound services, empowering the parents along with the children, along with reconnecting, the fathers with their children, and allowing them to be able to provide for themselves. And so I don't call them ex-gangbangers and thugs. And so I've come up with a new name where I call it, out of the young guys that I use, urban specialists, because they are literally specialists in the streets. They know everything that's going on. They know everything that's happening in the streets. And these are the type of people that we need. If anybody has ever seen Starsky and Hutch, they never solved one case unless they talked to Huggy Bear. And Huggy Bear was the guy that had the pulse of the streets. And so I asked my young people, I said, this is the scenario I give. I said, you're in hot water, and I need to know, what is what are you? Are you the egg or the bean? And they said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, the hot water changes the egg, but the coffee bean changes the water. And so I want them to start to see that I can change what's going on around me. I can actually stop what was getting ready to happen. I can actually stop them young guys from banking this person or taking this guy's book bag, or, you know, because of the power that's in you. And that's really the message that I want to get out. You know, I don't want you to be the egg that gets changed by the hot water. I need you to be the coffee bean that changes the water.
Ted.
All right, go ahead, Jerry.
So New York Life, our annual year starts in July. So last July, we had Chris Gardner, the author of The Pursuit of Happiness, as our inspirational speaker. And if you don't know him, I'm sure you know the name.
Yes.
So we all got wristbands that says "Start Where You Are," and I wear that every single day because each day is a new opportunity to make a difference in someone's life.
Yes.
Reach out and just do something positive. So thank you for what you've done and continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, it's 1 minute after 1. I want to ask Dr. Sutton if you could just, I don't know, wrap things up. Let us know a little bit about your youth groups, or how it is that we can help. Maybe you can post something in the chat box, or maybe Andrea can do that for you. But just you know, give us an action point or two. What can we do to help you and your organization?
Well, actually, I'm actually working on a building that I'm actually getting fixed up to try to do a multi-purpose center. I also, so really just some place to be able to do, you know, that helps. Another piece is that, you know, my website is suttonhousevision.com. That's suttonhousevision.com. And so anytime that somebody's just able to make a connection of somebody positive, you know, help me get the message out even more, is to me, you know, just everything, you know, for me anyway. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for allowing me to be on your show and to meet some amazing people on today. I just feel humbled, you know, on this very special day to be a part of a very special message.
And then I just wanted to follow up with that I put my information, because I'm acting as his publicist right now. So that way we can help coordinate who wants to meet him or what other groups or opportunities or connections you have for him. And we're also planning to have some meet and greets here with Dr. Ted, so he can share different aspects of his message and have other leaders come in and meet him. So if you're interested in doing that, which I know you are, just reach out to me and we'll get dates and times coordinated so that you guys can do that. So thanks so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Ted. Thanks for bringing them on, Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Awesome
Thank you.
message. Thank
Have a
you
good
so
week.
much. Martin Luther King was awesome, and
Yes.
and I'm glad that you had two wonderful parents that were able to at least hold it together for you and your family the best they could. I know that was a blessing for you, and that's we need more of that. That's for sure.
Yes, we do, and thank you.
All right, guys.
And Ted, thanks for being the coffee bean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to change the hot water.
I love that.
Thanks for sharing your testimony. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ted. We really all appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sutton.
Thank you.
That
The
was
coffee beans
amazing.
are a good analogy. I like that one.
Thanks.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming,
Thank
everybody,
you.
and thank you, Dr. Ted.
Jim Meade
you.
for president. There we go.
I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.